Do you know what's staining your pool? Well, you need to figure out what caused the stain in the first place before you jump into treating it. I'm Matt from Swim University, and after 30 years of doing this, I can tell you that different stains need completely different treatments. So here's how to figure out what's staining your pool and how to get rid of it. Now, there are two common types of stains. You have organic stains and metal stains. Organic stains come from natural debris like leaves, berries, algae, or other plant matter that's going to sit on your pool surfaces for too long. And as they break down, they discolor the pool. Now, the good news is that the right chlorine treatment will usually take care of these. Metal stains happen when metals like iron, copper, or manganese get into your pool water. Now, this can come from your water source, especially if you have well water. You can have corroded pipes, metal pool equipment, or even certain chemicals. Now, these are trickier to deal with because the chlorine's not going to work. In fact, shocking your pool can actually oxidize metals in your water, and that's why some pools turn green or brown when you add shock. And that's because, well, there's metals in your water. So how do you know if it's an organic stain or a metal stain? The first thing you want to do is look at the color. So green-brown stains are most likely organic. These are caused by leaves, dirt, algae, or some other organic matter sitting on your pool surface. Red-blue stains are probably from berries, so organic. Now, if you've got fruit-producing trees or bushes nearby, no, that's probably what it is. Blue-green stains. If there's no vegetation near your pool, well, this might be metal, specifically copper. Now, copper can come from your water source, your chemicals, or a corroded pipe, or a piece of pool equipment. Red-brown or orange-brown stains, these are likely metal, especially iron. If you fill your pool with well water, well, it's likely to have iron in it. Now, rust from nearby metal fixtures, like a fence, can also end up in your pool after like a rainstorm or something. Brown stains could also be copper that's been oxidized. Then you have purple-black stains. Now, this dark combination is caused by manganese, a naturally occurring metal found in both well water and some municipal water supplies. But it's less common, but still possible. So, those are the common organic and metal stains. But there's one other stain color worth talking about, and that's white or white-gray stains. This usually comes from calcium scale. That's that rough, white, chalky buildup you see along the waterline or if you have tile. We have a whole other video on removing and preventing scale if that's what you think you're dealing with. But if it's a white or gray stain that's smooth to the touch, well, it could be a chemical staining. Acidic water or low pH can stain the plaster, or it may not have cured properly. Now, if you're still not sure if it's organic or a metal stain, well, it's time to test. Now, there are two simple tests you can do right now in your pool to confirm what type of stain it is. If you think the stain is organic, you can put on gloves, grab a chlorine tablet, and hold it directly against the stain for about 30 seconds. If the stain fades or disappears, it's organic. If chlorine doesn't affect the stain, it's probably a metal stain. So you can go grab some vitamin C powder, which is also known as ascorbic acid, yes, and sprinkle or rub a small amount directly on the stain. Now, back in the day, I used to do this using an old sock. I just fill a sock with the acid and make it into a tight ball that I could rub on the stain. Now, if it lightens or disappears, you've got metal. If it was a brown stain and then it turns black, it means it's copper. Just a quick note about black stains. If you have black raised bumps that disappear when you do the chlorine test, but they just keep coming back, you might actually have black algae. So you can check out our other video for more help on that. Now, if it's black and it doesn't go away with the chlorine test, well, it could be copper that's turned dark over time. Okay, so now it's time to get rid of these stains. So let's start with organic stains. Chlorine is the solution here. You just need more of it than your regular sanitizing dose. So you're gonna need test strips or a liquid test kit. I recommend a liquid test kit. Cal Hypo Shock. This is the most powerful chlorine shock, but if you wanna use something gentler, you can use dichlor, like if you have a fiberglass pool or even a saltwater pool. A stiff pool brush. That's it. Step number one is you're gonna test and balance your water. Now, before you add anything, you wanna test your water and get your alkalinity and your pH in range because this will help the shock to work better. Step two, shock your pool. The superchlorination from the shock is what actually breaks it down and lifts those organic stains. Now, if you're dealing with a single small stain, a standard dose of shock should probably do the job. But if you have multiple stains or a super large stain, I recommend using a triple dose of shock. That would be 3 pounds of calcium hypochlorite for every 10,000 gallons of water that you have. And I recommend adding the shock at night so that the sun doesn't break it down too fast. In fact, you can check out the shock section of the pool care handbook if you're not sure how to add it to your pool the right way. Step number 3 is to brush the stains. Now, once you've added the shock, use your brush to scrub the stains. You don't need to completely remove them at this point. You just want to break them up and get the shock working into the surface. Step number 4, run the pump. You need to let that shock circulate through your pool for at least 8 hours, because this will give the chlorine enough time to do its work across the entire pool. Step number 5, brush again and check your water. Now come back after those 8 hours and scrub the stains again. In many cases, they'll be significantly lighter or hopefully completely gone. If the staining is still visible, you just repeat the process. Stubborn organic stains sometimes need like 2 rounds of treatment or a week of keeping the chlorine level elevated. If you need to do this, just don't swim during this time. If there's a particularly bad spot left over, you can put a chlorine puck on them for about 15 to 30 minutes to help lift them. But you might get some chlorine discoloration, and that's way too harsh for vinyl or fiberglass pools. Okay. Now, here's how to get rid of metal pool stains. Metal stains take a slightly different approach. You're gonna need metal test strips or a metal test kit to figure out what type of metals you're dealing with. Take a water sample to your pool store, that'll work too. You need ascorbic acid or vitamin C powder. This works great for treating iron stains and smaller affected areas, or use a metal stain remover for more severe or widespread staining. You'll want the right stain remover based on the type of metal stain you have. That's why testing is so important. You'll also need a metal sequestrant. Yes, this prevents the stains from coming back. Most metal stain removers are also stain and scale preventers, so look for a combo product that does both of these things. First, test your water for metals. You'll want to know exactly which metal is causing the problem. If you have well water, it's worth doing this test at the beginning of every single pool season, or whenever you add a large amount of fresh water to your pool, or anytime you notice discoloration. Then you can adjust your pH. Now, depending on the type of metal remover, you may need to be on the lower end of the pH range. I would just check the directions. Next, if it's iron, treat it with ascorbic acid. For iron stains, ascorbic acid or vitamin C powder is a very effective first treatment. You can sprinkle it directly on the stain and let it sit, and the stain should lighten or disappear pretty quickly. For more widespread staining across the pool, the walls, you can broadcast the ascorbic acid across the whole pool while the pump is running. Now, if you tested your water and copper was the problem, do not use ascorbic acid. This can turn them darker. So for stubborn or more widespread stains, I recommend using a metal stain remover. Now, if the stains are severe, they're large, or they don't fully respond to ascorbic acid alone, you can use a dedicated metal stain remover that targets that specific metal in your water. Now, after treating the stains, you can use a metal sequestrant, and you keep using this one. So after the stain's been treated, those metals are now floating in your water. So you'll need to follow up with a metal sequestrant to capture them before they settle back down and stain again. Now, the metal sequestrant binds these particles in your water and keeps them suspended so that they can't settle on pool surfaces and oxidize into new stains. A sequestrant isn't one of those one-and-done products. It breaks down over time, so you need to add a maintenance dose regularly throughout the season, usually about every week or every other week, depending on what product you buy. Now, if you have well water or a history of metal problems, metal staining, then you need to make this a part of your regular pool care routine, just like balancing your pH. So, how do you prevent pool stains from coming back? Well, now that your pool is looking clean, we need to keep it that way. So the first thing you want to do is remove debris immediately. You want to skim the pool daily so you don't want leaves or organic matter to sit on those pool surfaces for too long. Use a hose filter when you're filling your pool. A hose filter can reduce the metals and minerals from entering your pool in the first place. And if possible, skip using well water. If you have the option to use a dual tank water softener or maybe get your water delivered, this is going to solve your future staining problems. Add a metal sequestrant regularly, especially if you already have well water or you have a history of metal staining. Use a copper-free algicide. Stop adding extra copper to the water if that's your problem. Keep your water chemistry balanced, especially pH and chlorine, because imbalanced water means organic debris and metals will cause more damage. If you want more help keeping your water balanced throughout the season, check out our other video on pool chemistry basics because it covers everything that you need to know about testing and adjusting your levels the right way. And you can use the Pool Care app because it'll tell you exactly what chemicals you need to add and when to keep your water balanced all the time. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy swimming.